Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's February 14th, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day, presented once again by LifeWallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health. And Matt, interesting weekend. So I thought it was kind of like a ho-hum Super Bowl, quite frankly, but
great Super Bowl.
It was all right. I mean, it was just all right.
I mean, I still don't understand. The Rock is on national TV at the Super Bowl talking to every recruit in the nation. He doesn't even mention Mario Cristobal. He couldn't have snuck it in somehow.
Throw up a U.
Something. I mean, the U, put up a U maybe at the end, like something, Rock, something. Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah, he could have snuck something in there, but yeah, I mean, I thought it was just an okay game, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Miami basketball got a big win at Wake Forest.
That's what we're here to talk about. No one's tuning in anymore. Everyone just left. Your audience is gone.
Big win on the road, man. I mean, that puts them right in the middle.
As sad as it is, everyone wants football news, even though there's no football news right now. They don't, for whatever reason. It's a little bad, but
I'll sneak that in later. But my story of the weekend. So my son got married this weekend, and I go up to Jupiter where the wedding was, and I walk into the hotel, and I'm sitting there for a minute or something. I can't remember what I was doing, waiting for my wife or whatever. And this guy comes around the corner, and he's like, "Gary." I'm like, "Yeah, hey, I had never met him before." And he's one of our CaneSport.com subscribers. And he's from New Jersey, and he just happens to be in the lobby of this hotel in Jupiter, Florida, at the same time I am. He's like, I said, so he introduces himself, where you from, whatever, New Jersey. I said, so what are you doing here in Jupiter, Florida? He's like, I'm getting married tomorrow. I'm like, really? And I said, well, my son's getting married tomorrow. So we had some laughs. It was pretty funny. But I'm not going to say his name or his login name because it's kind of personal and private. But I'll congratulate him because I think he does watch this show.
Well, listen, Guy. I'm going to tell you something right now. This is the truth. I only speak the truth. When you go to your son's wedding and a fan from CaneSport from New Jersey shows up, that's called a stalker. Okay? I just want to make sure you're aware of this.
It was just so bizarre. I mean, like it just shows you the reach of the CaneSport family is just incredible. And I told you the story a couple weeks ago when I just popped over to Joe's Stone Crab to eat a couple stone crabs that you haven't butchered out in the middle of Biscayne Bay that are left for the commoners like us to pay retail for. But and I met another one of our subscribers who just happened to be going there at the same time, and it was really cool. I was really happy for him. Obviously, he was very excited. He was getting married, and just happened to be in the same hotel lobby in Jupiter at the same time. So that was kind of cool. But a lot of recruiting, Matt, continues to go on. No surprise with Mario Cristobal at the helm of the Miami Hurricanes. And obviously it's centralized on the class of 23. And we might as well start with the Washington brothers from, Robbie and Bobby, who keep looking like they're going to eventually end up as Miami Hurricanes. And I guess it was Robbie, I believe, that committed to Miami a while back and didn't really have an offer that was committable. And now I guess he does. And now they both do. And things are going pretty well.
Yeah, the thing I'm super confused about here, okay, if your name's Robert, your nickname is Bobby. And one of them is Robert and one of them is Bobby. And I don't understand how that's possible. Do they have the same name? Are they both Robbie and one's called Bobby? I was too embarrassed to ask them that. But my generation, Robert could be a Bobby. And you don't just name someone Bob or Bobby, I don't think. Am I wrong, Gary?
I mean, it seems a little close to me, but
I don't get it. But look, I assume they're two different people. That's the sense I get. They have two separate cell phone numbers. They were both apparently on the FaceTime call they got from every entire coach on the Miami staff that was current as of Friday when they got it. And it's super cool. It was Bobby who got the call, and Robbie was with him. And Bobby just sees a Miami coach is calling him, and he answers the FaceTime, and there's every coach in a box right there, and they're all yelling "Go Canes" and just yelling at them, and da 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 da. And the kids loved it. It's such a great thing, and neither of these recruits, and I think Robbie is listing 44 offers. So these are kids who, and Robbie, by the way, is the one who was committed to Miami, but then it wasn't really a firm commitment on Miami's end at that point. But as of now, it appears both kids are wanted by Miami, and they said no other coach has done this. And it's not, some fans are like, why are you giving away Miami's secrets? These aren't secrets. Other programs don't do this because they don't put the time in to do this. Each coach has his own list of recruits, believe it or not, at his position in his area he's got to deal with on a daily basis. They aren't also putting in an hour or two of time on a regular basis to do a FaceTime call with every other coach for certain positions that someone else may have in their jurisdiction, right? This is an extra something that other programs just don't want to do because they don't have the time or want to give the time to that instead of whatever else they're doing, at the country club or whatever. I'm just making that up, obviously, but whatever else they have that they have to do for their program, this isn't their prerogative. So I think it's great that Miami's doing this. This is why Mario lands. It's not a secret. Mario lands top 5 recruiting classes nationally at his various, at Oregon, and he's able to do top, land 5 stars there. The reason is things like this. He puts in the extra effort. He goes the extra mile. He makes the kids feel extra wanted. And with your buddy John Ruiz's money at his back now, I don't see why they shouldn't have a top 3 class. I think somebody on the message board said they bet somebody $1,000 that Miami would have a top 3 class next year. I don't see why they wouldn't. You do stuff like this, it certainly doesn't hurt.
All right. So we got other stories on 2023 recruits on the website this morning. A defensive tackle, Keith Sampson from New Bern, North Carolina. He's now received a Miami offer. And then with a great Miami visit last month, cornerback Christian Gray from St. Louis, who also visited Miami for Elite Prospect Day, is now also looking like a very likely, maybe, Miami commitment down the road, is really feeling the Hurricanes. So Matt, we've talked about this on the show before, but we're seeing a pattern here, and it's just kid after kid, and obviously the reach of recruiting is extending all over the country under Mario Cristobal. So different than what we saw under Manny Diaz, where there was an inclination to just take whatever layup you could find. And, they did not work anywhere close to this hard in recruiting. They did not cultivate relationships like this with a large number, cast a wide net out of state. And, I think when it comes time for signing day in December, that we're going to start to see the benefits of this level of work ethic, and in terms of just recruiting and casting that wide net.
Well, I never correct you, but I would not say Christian Gray's a likely commitment. These kids are all going through their process, especially out-of-state kids. It's a real process. It's not something where they're just going to commit on the spot off a few conversations or a visit. Local kids, you have more of that, especially with the new coaching staff. There's local kids that just want to stay home, and they get the Miami offer, and they just know it's right, and they want to help build the program and do what's right for the program, for their families being nearby, and all that stuff. So, the Washington kids are announcing, for instance, March 5th. If Miami wants them, I can't imagine them not picking Miami, both of them. But then you have these national kids who are being recruited by all these top programs. And you're right, Miami's going toe-to-toe with the Alabamas, the Ohio States, the Georgias, et cetera, et cetera. But like we had an update the other day, there was one kid who just flat out said, I really prefer to play in the SEC. And while some kids won't say that, this is the challenge Miami has, right? They can't, for these kids who are announcing in November and December, which a lot of the top kids seem to like to do nowadays, Miami has to have a really good season. They just have to, because when you're going toe-to-toe with top programs, you got a new coaching staff, and we know fan bases everywhere, if you lose a few games you're not supposed to, people aren't going to be happy, and rightfully so. So Miami has to have a really good season to keep that sense of momentum, even if it's real, not real, because the truth be told, and I've said this before, it's a 2 to 4 year process for Miami to be a national championship caliber team, assuming things go in the right direction. It just is. You don't have the roster where it needs to be, but you need to have that perception of it going that direction, because that's how you get top recruits that are being recruited by programs that are already where Miami's trying to get, right? You can't blame a recruit for wanting to go to a program that's at the top when there's a program that's not at the top saying, hey, we want to get there. Well, yeah, but that program already is. So you have to be able to show, look what we did in 1 year. We had a roster that wasn't there. Look at what we had, and look what we did, and look where we were going. And if Miami can show that, and if Mario Cristobal can show that, and if he recruits them harder than everyone else, which I personally think he will and does do, because that's what he's done, that's how you get these kids. But it's going to be a November, December thing, right? These kids, Miami has to win games, because even if a kid commits in July and everyone celebrates, if Miami loses 3 or 4 games to ACC opponents this year, some of these top kids just aren't going to stick, man. They're just not. It's just the nature of the beast nowadays, and it's unfortunate. A commitment isn't what it used to be, right, Gary?
Yeah.
When we started, a commitment was actually a real commitment. It would stick. And now there's soft commitments. And, they just made up. Soft commitment never existed 10 years ago. It's just made up terms. And now it's, flip never was a real vocabulary word. It would be a couple of kids a year who maybe chose a different school. There was no term for it back then, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, all right, maybe I'm being overly optimistic again when I say likely commit. Maybe I should have said possible commit. But the point is, the net is being cast far and wide across the country. And we have a story today on another one, a 4-star linebacker out of Pennsylvania by the name of Samaj Bridgman, who Miami is also on. And we're trying to introduce you to all these kids. We're bringing you a lot of these stories day after day, and let you get to know some of these 2023 recruits that you're going to see recruiting pick up here in the coming weeks. You'll start seeing them visit campus in March, April, and some of these recruitments will take some shape. Let's also talk about another thing that we have on the website today, which is an analysis of how the offensive depth chart might come together in spring practice. And yeah, we're getting closer. We're, I guess maybe about a month away now from the start of spring. Actually, maybe 3 weeks from the start of spring. The teams in the fourth quarter program right now, they're getting themselves in physically ready for spring practice. And before you know it, you will have a new coaching staff on the field at Green Tree, starting to build the depth chart. And so we're talking about the offensive side of the ball now. And Josh Gaddis has said that everything's wide open, including Tyler Van Dyke. Like, he's not predisposing anything. He is having wide open competition on the offensive side of the football, Matt. And when you dig into the depth chart, you start to see that Josh Gaddis has some pieces to work with.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of coach talk, honestly. We've seen the first practice in the past where it's just whoever worked out the hardest. There was walk-ons with the ones in the first practice. It's sort of coach talk, and it also makes sense because, like we talked about last week, you don't want a kid thinking I'm a second teamer, period. Right. And the reason being, you need your depth, and you don't want that kid saying, hey, I could start at Georgia Tech if I go there this year, and I don't want to sit on the bench this year, that sort of thing, because with the transfer portal and free transfers, this is an issue. So you got to really have competition, even if there isn't competition, right? Nobody actually thinks Tyler Van Dyke won't be the starter, and not that Jake Garcia is going to leave, but it doesn't hurt anything to have Jake take 1 reps, Ja'Cory Brown even take 1 reps, and just let them get some experience and do that across the board. There's just no harm. Now, Jalen Rivers and Don Chaney, I don't think are going to be participating for the bulk of spring practice, if at all. And it wouldn't shock me if either of them are, well, certainly Jalen's going to be a starter, I think, this season. And Don Chaney could easily wind up being a starter if in the fall he shows he's healthy. He has the size and the speed and the skills that they like under this new staff. So it's a shame that especially Don Chaney can't play. We already know what Jalen Rivers can do. But yeah, this is, again, when you look at the depth chart, it's our best guess, right? Miami has not given us a depth chart. I mean, heck, the new offensive coordinator, Gaddis, he just got here. He's still looking at, he looked at film of the kids, obviously, but he's still figuring out where he thinks guys can fit in best into what he wants to do, right? So as you look at it, it's fun. It's a fun thing for fans to look at and sort of think, you'll see some co-first teamers on there. You'll see some guys who maybe you think should be starters that we've listed as backups, And I think you guys are going to think I'm crazy. I can't even talk this morning.
I wonder why. Why would they think you're crazy?
Yeah. So I actually think if there's going to be a surprise guy on the offensive line this spring, who do you think would be my pick as a surprise? We already know who's played, not one of them, but who do you think a backup that I think could be a surprise and push to start this year, Gary? Who do you think?
John Campbell.
Oh, heck no. First of all, he's hurt. No, Cleveland Reed. And not because of the amazing skills he showed in the commercial that you keep airing over and over again on this show, but because he has the skill set that this staff wants. He's not quick. He's just not. He can't pull. He can't run the kind of offensive line that Rhett Lashlee did. But guess what? If they want a pounding, straight ahead offensive interior lineman, he's your guy, man. He's one of the strongest guys aside from Logan Sagapolu, probably the strongest guy aside from him on the offensive line. He's a freaking animal beast, and Miami fans haven't heard much about him. I know he quit the team at one point and then came back, but I'm telling you, this guy will just mash defenses straight ahead. And yeah, he's not very quick, but he's big and strong.
Will be a second teamer at best.
Keep an eye on him. You may be surprised, Gary.
Will be a second teamer at best.
Well, I said that's why he'd be a surprise, right? Obviously, if you thought he was going to start, it wouldn't be a surprise. That's why he's my surprise.
If they get one or two more transfers here in the next few months, I don't even know that he'll see the second team. But he did do a great job in the commercial, Matt. So we might as well take a break here right now.
Oh God,
great time to do it. Up. And let's hear from the guys that are with Life Wallet, and it includes a cameo by Cleveland Reed.
Hold on,
I will be your shield in the fiercest battle. I'll defend you.
Yeah.
Hey, my name is Cleveland Reed, and I play offensive line, and my job is to protect. I protect my family with Life Wallet. How about you?
Of course I got Life Wallet. It's the best way to protect my family.
Long as we go together, we'll die whenever. Be a light, couldn't let the darkness try you ever. Truth in my word, you I lie to never.
To protect you and your family, get Life Wallet now.
Life Wallet. Saving time, saving lives.
See, why would John Ruiz pay Cleveland Reed all that money if he didn't think he was going to be a starter? For sure. John Ruiz is signing everybody. His sleeper offense lineman also, obviously.
He's signing everybody, and he's brilliantly finding roles for all of them in these commercials. I mean, the guy is a smart guy, man. I mean, he keeps writing these scripts that gets them all involved, and having Andres Borregales do the little magic at the end. Just it's really like I mean, people are like ragging on me or whatever, but to think that Miami came from almost like not no place, because Dan Lambert did a great job last year creating an NIL program and giving everybody $6,000. I mean, this, I think everybody would agree, is taking it to an entirely new level. And Miami's way out ahead of everybody in the country because of what's going on here. So we keep showcasing it because I think it's the greatest thing that's happened to this program in a long time, in addition to obviously landing Mario. And he's doing great stuff for the kids, and the kids are doing great things, and I love watching them act. But anyway, all right. So I don't think Cleveland Reed, as good as he was in the commercial, is going to be first or second.
I think most people would agree with you.
Yeah. But
I'm going out on a limb, and I'm going to say we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think John Campbell, who we also have as a potential second teamer right now, is maybe
the spring. He's not going to be competing this spring, from what I understand. But yeah, he maybe down there to be okay. But
by the fall up, I think he could be a second teamer. But
he has to be. Yeah, he has to be so much better than what we saw when he was even healthy last year. I mean, he just was. I don't know how to put it, but he just wasn't quick enough. He wasn't, for a tackle. He's not quick enough, and he's too lean and lanky to be interior, and is just sort of a tweener from what we saw. Maybe it'll be different now, but as of last year, that's what we saw.
All right, so we've got that on the website today, and then there's coverage of Miami basketball's victory at Wake Forest on Saturday, and interesting story around it. For the most part, the university has totally overhauled the travel of the teams, which obviously men's basketball is included, and they've gone to upgraded planes and bigger planes and the whole thing. just as part of their overall investment in the program. But this past weekend was not one of them, and they had an older charter booked. From what I understand, that the team shows up at the airport, they get on the plane, and then there was a mechanical problem. Then they had to get off the plane, and they were delayed again, and for several hours. And they finally got to North Carolina like 12 hours later, 13 hours later, and obviously had a short night's sleep, had to get up and have their shoot around in the morning, and then the game was at 3:00 in the afternoon. So kind of like an NBA team does on back-to-backs. The travel was just totally chaotic and insane. And in the first half, they fell down by 13 points, and it wasn't looking great. But not the first time this season they came back, and they've been a pretty darn good second half team, and they made a few adjustments and came back, played a little bit harder, and they won on the road at Wake Forest. And that's a big win because it knocked Wake Forest down a notch in the standings to 5 losses. Miami's sitting at 10-4, along with a North Carolina team that I think that everybody would agree they proved they were significantly better than when they blew them out at home earlier in the season. So this right now really looks like a Duke, Miami, Notre Dame 3-team race to win the regular season ACC title. And I don't know if that loss at Florida State earlier in the season that was stolen from them. It just seems like that's going to bite them a little bit. If that loss hadn't gone on the board, Miami would be sitting at 11-3 right now, tied for first place with Duke and Notre Dame. Duke they beat, Notre Dame obviously they lost to, but they win a tiebreaker against Duke because they beat Duke. So that Florida State experience on the road, Matt, is haunting this team right now. But they do still have some games left, and so there's no point in harping on it too much. And we'll see what happens. But I thought that was just a great victory for the Canes at Wake Forest, and we'll see what happens here. The next game, another tough road game at Louisville this week, and then they play Virginia at home next weekend, and that'll be a big game as well. So I'm not going to harp too much on basketball because people do prefer football, but you got to respect what Miami basketball is doing this season. Any closing thoughts?
Well, I'm not as fixated on the ACC regular season as you are. They're playing all teams with 500 losing records, and
they were predicted to finish like 13th before the season. Like, this is an unbelievable year they're having.
That's not my point. My point is, just like in for the baseball team, it's Omaha. To me, you just got to get into the NCAA tournament and then hope some magic happens. And they're on pace to do that, whether or not they win the ACC right now, right? They only face one more team that has a better than 500 record in the ACC as of this morning, which I think is Virginia. So if they don't finish strongly, then they don't deserve to be in the NCAA tournament anyway, and they wouldn't do anything there. But they should finish strongly based on that schedule, regardless what they do in the ACC tournament. They should be in the NCAA tournament if they can finish strongly in the regular season, which at this point they should. And as for football-wise, I agree with you. I think everyone just wants to talk football, and just in general terms, like as we were going through all the depth chart stuff, and you sort of look at it, today we're doing offense, tomorrow we'll do defense. But as you're looking at it, I really think that there's a lot of talent, and I feel much more optimistic this year, not because of the coaches even, but I just feel more optimistic because I feel like a lot of the freshmen from a year ago are going to be a lot better. And there's some extra depth. And you can see when you look at the offensive depth chart alone right now, and you'll see defense tomorrow, but when you look at the offensive depth chart alone, you look at that second team, and it's really that those are guys that can push the first teamers, which is something maybe you couldn't have said a little while ago. And when you look at the offensive line, I feel better about that group. I mean, there's not a position I look at other than receiver right now where I don't think this position won't be better than last year. And if they get just a guy like a Ladson or a couple of the young guys from a year ago who should be better to step up, this should be one of the top offenses in the country. And if the defense can just be even average, because it was below average last year, if it can just be an average defense, which it should, again, we've already looked at that. But we're going to break it down tomorrow. This should be a really good team, and especially against the schedule they play. Like, I'm super optimistic about this season. And when Mr. Negative, what do they have? They have Mr. Wonderful on Shark Tank, right? So I'm Mr. Negative on Good Morning CaneSport. So when Mr. Negative tells you that it should be a really, really good season, in reality, I mean, it should be a great season, because as you guys know, I prefer to set the bar very low, so I'll only be happy at whatever happens. And I'm setting the low bar at we should be really, really good based on just looking at these 2 depth charts. And you guys can look at it yourself, look at our analysis yourself this morning and tomorrow morning, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
All right, so that's going to do it for today. All of you that have significant others, be nice to them on Valentine's Day. Make sure if you're a guy, make sure you send some flowers to the office or have some candy or something, and acknowledge Valentine's Day. The best.
What are you getting me? What are you getting me, Gary? What am I getting for Valentine's Day?
You're gonna get a truffle.
Oh, really? I'm getting you a subscription to Life Wallet.
All right.
Is it true that was that the theme for your son's wedding? Was Life Wallet? Was that the theme? For the wedding?
Yeah,
that was the theme, right?
Yeah. When I did my toast, I threw in the line that the time is now.
You said this is
charge of your personal health.
This is Mr. Ferman's toasts presented by Life Wallet. Is that what you said?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. You should have. That'd been funny, actually.
Yeah. All right. So for Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We thank you for joining us once again on Good Morning CaneSport, and we'll see you tomorrow, everybody.